All right, all right. Hello,
Hello, hello, hello.
Mr. Sapolosia, how are you?
I'm
I'm
wonderful,
wonderful,
fantastic.
fantastic.
Yes,
You're doing
well.
well.
All right, all right. Yeah, finally, welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. This is Dr. Positive. I'm here with my own brother, Mr. Sapolosia, all the way out there in Houston, experiencing cold weather like the people in the East. They send our cold here. So how have you managed so much so far in the snow, brother?
So
So
last
last
the
the
snow, I
snow,
was
I was
actually
actually
driving through
driving
the
through the
snow when
snow
I
when I
entered
entered
Texas.
Texas.
It
It
seemed like
seemed like
when I
when I
drove
drove
through
through
last
last
weekend,
weekend,
Texas
Texas
had the
had the
worst
worst
snow
snow
from
from
Amarillo
Amarillo
all the
all the
way to
way to
College
College
Station, about
Station, but
94
94
miles from
miles
my
from my
house.
house.
So
So
Mm.
I
I
drove through
drove
the
through the
snow
snow
for a
for a
long
long
time,
time,
since
since
2013,
2013, I think.
So it
So it
was
was
good
good
experience.
experience.
But the
But the
weather
weather
today is
today,
beautiful
beautiful
today in
today in
Houston.
Houston.
We're
We're
told
told
we're
we're
going
going
to
to
be
be
a
a
breeze,
breeze,
but it's
but it's
warm.
warm.
That's good. Again, family, welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. Today's topic is a review of the President's State of the Nation address. And our question is, the President stated that the nation is stronger. The state of the nation is stronger. So our question is the state of the nation stronger or is it struggling? You know, for me, I always look at a positive view, but Mr. Sapolosi, I know got something to say against the president's speech today. So me, I'm here to talk about what I heard and the promise I see for Liberia. And I hope you too have your statement. I hope you too were able to watch the president's speech. Is Liberia moving forward or is Liberia coming backward? So this is what we'll be looking at. So Mr. Sapolosi, again, welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. You heard the President's State of the Nation address. I'm going to let you first to start. Let me let you start first, tear it apart, and then I will come in and tell you what I think about the president's speech.
So,
So,
well,
well,
I won't
I won't
say
say
tearing
tearing
apart.
apart.
I'll
I'll
just
just
look at it from
look
a
at it from a
different
different
angle.
angle.
Most of the
Most of
time
the time
here,
here,
our
our
leaders come
leaders come
out,
out,
they
they
give their
give their
reports to the
reports to the
legislature and the
legislature and the
director.
director.
And some of
Some
those
of those
things
things
are
are
not
not
felt
felt
by the
by the
people,
people,
right?
right?
When the
When the
president talks
president talk
about
about the
economy
economy
being
being
strong or
strong or
improving,
improving,
the
the
question there
question there
I ask
is
is, the
the
person in
person
water
in
side,
water
the
side, the
Yanda boy,
Yanda
because I
boy,
used
because
to
I
be
used
one
to
of
be one
those
of those
people,
people,
the
the
teachers,
teachers,
the
or the
nurses, the
nurses, the
doctors,
doctors,
what is
what is
the
the
impact of
impact
this
of this
strong
strong
economy
economy
on their
on their
lives?
lives?
It's
It's
not,
not,
as you know, on
on
Liberia
Liberia,
Right, we're
right?
not
We're not
really
really
intending
intending
to
to
show
show
negative of
negative
the
of the
country or
country
the
or the
leadership.
leadership.
However, we
However, we
need
need
to
to
keep
keep
our
our
people
people
in
in
check
check
to
to
make
make
sure
sure
what is
what is
telling
telling
us
us
is
is
reality,
reality,
and not
and not
just
just
in front
in
of the
front of the
camera to
camera to
let
let
the
the
world or the
world or
rest
the
of the
rest of the
world
world
know that
know that
something good
something
is
good is
going
going
on.
on.
But when you
But
look
when you
on the
look on the
ground,
ground,
it's not
it's not
really
really
what is
what
being
is being
felt by the
felt by the
people.
people.
Now, I
Now,
know
I
his
know his
address
address
was
was
kind of
kind of
reviewed by
reviewed by
almost
almost
everybody. I
everybody. I
read
read
through
through
some of the
some of the
highlighting
highlighting
points,
points,
and I
and I
feel
feel
that
that
while it is
while it is
true, the
true, the
country may
country
be
may be
improving, as
improving,
long
as
as,
long as, in
let me
fact,
say
let me
this,
say this,
as long
as long
as we're
as
not
we're not
fighting
fighting
war,
war,
right?
right?
We're not
We're not
shooting
shooting
guns, we're
guns,
not
we're not
destroying
destroying
buildings, we're
buildings,
not
we're not
destroying
destroying
roads.
roads.
The
The
country is
country
making
is making
progress.
progress.
Let's
Let's
establish that.
establish that.
Okay, as
Okay,
long
as
as
long
there's
as there's
nothing
nothing
causing
causing
your country
your
to
country
go
to go
backward,
backward,
there is
there is
some
some
improvement
improvement
because somebody's
because
life
somebody's
is
life
going
is
to be
going to be
changed by
changed by
whatever
whatever
policy we
policy
get
we
in
get in
place.
place.
However,
However,
though, the
the
role of
role
the
of the
government
government
is to
is to
address the
address the
needs
needs
of
of
most of
most
the
of the
people.
people.
We're not
We're
going
not
to
going
be
to be
able
able
to
to
address
address
everybody's
everybody's
needs,
needs,
but
but
most of
most
the
of the
people.
people.
But if we
But
look
if we
at
look
the
at the
past
past
year,
year, the
last
last
2
2
years,
years,
majority of the
majority of the
citizens
citizens
are
are
not,
not,
in my
in my
opinion,
opinion, from my observation,
are not
are not
enjoying the
enjoying the
strong
strong
economy
economy
that the
that the
president
president
addressed with
addressed
his
with
statement.
All right, Mr. Sapolosia, thank you for that point of view, and I would like to just highlight some of the things the president said, and I think what you stated is good. The question is, how do the common people feel when the government is making policies, when the government is making these changes? And as we all know, with Liberia being so bad, when some changes uh, when some change occur, it won't impact people's life immediately. It will take 2-3 years before that impact take place. So those that are currently in that situation may not see the benefit. But let's look at a few things that the president talked about, and I would like to highlight them gradually. Let me go to this slide and share that instead. So here, the president talked about. I want to start on the bottom right, on the bottom one, where he said fairness in concession agreement. Fairness in concession agreement. That alone for me, if the president implement that, I will be happy, because Liberia is a very rich country, right? The fact that we don't have access, we don't have control over our natural resources, that is killing us. The president said we don't have to be baking for bread. It's like you own a bakery, you baking the bread, but then you let somebody come and decide how much they will sell your bread. Then that person turn around and then you have to beg them to give you some of your own bread that you bake. You understand? So I'm hoping at some point in our history, in our lifetime, we will have a country where we control the price of our natural resources. We control the deals that are made, the concession agreements that are signed. We make sure that Liberia get higher benefit in those concession agreements. And I found a video online where one of the senators were talking about Halliburton, right? The contract or the concession agreement Halliburton signed with Liberia. He stated that Liberia gets 3 pennies on the dollar. For every $1 Halliburton make, Liberia get 3 pennies, right? So you tell me, when will Liberia benefit from a concession agreement like that? And there's a video out there where the guy, like one of the spokesmen from Halliburton, was actually stating that, hey, you go to other countries, they know the value of their natural resources. But when I went to Liberia, the amount of things we got for nothing, it was mind-blowing, right? So our leaders have to equip themselves, educate themselves to know the value of what we have. You understand? So I think if the president really tackled that one problem, right, and probably leave everything else on hold, I will be happy. You know, so that's one thing I took from this speech. And then leadership as a service, a stronger foundation, trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
See,
ahead.
let's
Let's look at the concession agreement as just Linus stated.
You see, we have to be realistic in our approaches to these issues. I know it's a good soundbite for the government when they say these things, but you and I know fully well that concession agreements in Liberia have not benefited the people. That's the reality. The way they are signed, the way they are put together, whether it's by the executive or the legislature. Now, the president could make a pronouncement and talk about how he wants concession agreement to be fair, but we all know, we who own the resources that we have in Liberia history have taught us, in fact, that we who own the resources, we tend to be behaving like we are begging people to come to our countries to exploit us. That's how I see it, right? And the concession agreement should be based on the negotiation between not just the executive, but the legislature, because in those places that they are taking these, they are extracting these resources, are part of these lawmakers' districts. Whether it's Acela Meta, whether it's Bond Mine, whether Lamco, if it used to be Lamco, whoever is there now, whatever mining company that comes, is in a lawmaker's district. Now, unfortunately, the lawmakers are not there to pursue the happiness or the benefit of those resources to benefit their citizens. Because when a concession agreement goes to the legislature, that should be their point. For example, if you come into my place, or let's say Firestone, because they've been there since 1927. If you come into Liberia, the first thing I should be asking you is build a school that will train the Liberian people. I mean, that's what I would consider fairness. If the president talks about fairness, build a school in Habel or wherever Firestone rubber plantation is located that will train the Liberian citizen to do or to fix that rubber into either a semi-finished product or a finished product, because that will create jobs, that will create education, that will create healthcare, and whatever you think it will provide for those people. Build hospitals, build good road network. You know, that is what I would consider as fair concession agreement. But the president is speaking of this today. I can tell you that right now, if they sign another concession agreement going in 2026, it will not, it won't underwrite any of those things. There will be nothing in there that say, okay, District 1 of one country, let's say discover some guy saying that China is going to start exploring or extracting these resources. Let us build, before we start extracting it, let us build a factory that will be able to manufacture sand into glass or whatever we wanted to fix it in before it leaves Liberia. And if the government, if this 2026, next year, 2027, SONA can tell me that we have built factories for sand, because I know they're still taking sand out of Liberia, they're still taking rubber out of Liberia, they're still taking timber out of Liberia. Timber is one of the things that is easier to really rebrand to a semi-finished product or a finished product, in fact. Okay? So when the president talks about those kind of concession agreement, how it should be fair, fair to whom? Is it to the lawmakers and the president, or to the citizens of the country? Right? So those are the questions the president needs to address, he and the lawmakers. Because I don't want to just leave it to him alone, because he's not just the person that is involved in concession agreement. And that is my point on that particular aspect of the SONA.
All right. Mr. Sapolosi, I saw I had to go well. So the president have challenged the leaders, right? The lawmakers. He said, let's lead for our people, not for ourselves, not for our individual benefits. So he said that in his address. So I think it behooves the president or the judiciary, the justice minister or the justice ministry to come up with policies to prevent people from stealing the natural resources of Liberia, even whether government officials are stealing money or the senators are doing things to benefit themselves. The whole system have to work for itself, because the president alone don't hold that power, right? We agree, right? The president doesn't hold that power alone by himself. So he have to work with the justice ministry to implement some of the things that will prevent people from stealing money. You understand? So all those things have to be put in place in order for the government to work properly. So I think it behooves everybody that hold a position to know the value of their position. You understand? So, for example, does the Justice Ministry have its own investigation in collaboration with the police or Liberia Investigation Unit? Are they investigating financial crimes? Are they investigating investment? Are they doing any kind of investigation of things that are happening to people in Liberia concerning the stealing of our money and our natural resources? If it's not going on, then who have to appoint those people to make that to do that effort? And the problem we usually have, and I think you said it here, we always look at these companies that are coming in to say, when Estela Meta is coming, let them build school for us. I think Liberia should sit on the other hand and say, no, I don't want you to build school for me. I don't want you to build road. This is a concession agreement. You get 80% or you get 60%, we get 40%. In that 40%, we will build roads to take your minerals from where it is to take it to the port. If we decide to build factory, Liberia own the factory, maybe 40% of that resource have to stay in Liberia. So those, for us to manufacture, so Estela Meta coming there as a business, they need to benefit. So let's be realistic. When you come as a business, you need to do things that will benefit you. So they're not coming to please the Liberian government. They're not coming to please the Liberian people. They're coming to please their investors, right? So the Liberian government, on the other hand, have to stand and say, hey, this is what I want for my people. If you cannot offer that, I'm going to go and negotiate with somebody else. And I think if we put that kind of hat on as negotiators, it will benefit us. Because if you look at this picture that I had on the screen, right? You look here, you'll see that all the time, our natural resources, the people that are taking our natural resources, they get more. If you look at the picture in the bottom here, right? They get more and we get less. Basically, the scale is not even anywhere. They get way, way more. They take everything and then we get less. So when are we going to look and say, all right, at least when this scale is, when you measure this thing, at least the scale should be somehow balanced. You know,
so if you can put River's, I want to disagree a little with River's when his comment that states that Liberians don't have a choice. We do have a choice, River says Pro. Now, let's look at Firestone in the 1920s. Is different from today's day. Those days, yes, you say Liberia never had a formed army that would resist what Firestone did in the 1920s. But if you look at our day to day, we have to tell these companies what we want or what we need for our people. The reason we keep caving is because our people are not patriotic. Our leaders, most of them are not patriotic. They think they have to bow down to the companies. It's not because of the people. It's because they want to enrich themselves. I mean, Guinea have held their mountain for like ever. It's only recent time they started that. Even though the French came against them and did all kinds of things, they still said no. And today we see what's happening in Guinea when it comes to how their resources being used for their people. Now, how it benefits the common man, that is something that in the future will determine. But like every nation has a choice. You have to make that sacrifice and say, you know what? I want this to benefit my people. You don't have to always cave in. But in my opinion, the reason it is happening is because our people, our leaders who we have elected or appointed, don't think about the people. They think about themselves more than they think about the nation for development. That is why all of the time they cave in. And I can tell you this from what I have seen when I travel to Liberia. I have seen leaders, I don't want to point to it, but I have seen leaders sitting in hotels where the guy who is coming as an investor has a lawyer with him. Okay. The investor is there, his financial man is there, and you got one person from the Liberian government representing the Liberian government with a laptop in one of those hotels sitting in some corridor. The investor is buying him drinks, buying him food, and buying everything, and is signing concession agreements. I have seen them. I'm not saying this thing. And I think the next thing some of us will start doing when we go to Liberia, when we go to these places, is start recording them to see how they're selling away Liberians' resources only because they're getting little or nothing for what they are giving out. What we forgetting to know is if we already sign a concession agreement that will benefit district number 1, district number 2, or whatever, Liberians become to develop. And once they are developed, they don't have to come and beg government for money. They don't have to go and beg lawmakers for money because you have equipped the men. Unfortunately, our leaders tend to think that they should always be in a position of power where everybody else should go and beg them, which is, in my opinion, a primitive way of thinking. And that's one of the problems that's suffering our country. That's why we are living in actual poverty. We're not living in actual poverty because we don't have resources or we don't know what we are doing. We know. But because our people have become so selfish and greedy, they feel that they should get all the money, and then the man who spent all his effort, go to school, graduate from college, should go back to him and beg him for money so that he can sing praise song to him all of the time. And that is sad for our nation. And Liberia is not going to get out of poverty. That's why we're going to continue to cave in as Rivers is paying. But we have a choice, Rivers says. Dr. Pastor, are you there?
Yeah, I'm back. I was just trying to put Mariba Wida said with greed we lack negotiation skills, and the common citizens are at fault because of the way we vote, right? So again, that goes back to the bigger picture. So Liberians, as somebody was saying, they couldn't hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me now. They said there was no sound, so please let us know if you can hear me. Sapolo said you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think on the election aspect, we always vote our heart. We vote out of love. We vote out of the most popular thing. Everybody vote because people are voting for what is popular. So I think if we start looking at the big picture and voting for the purpose of the big picture, then we may benefit from our own natural resources. But Sapolosi, I want to suggest, I know we have to go into some topics, but let's talk on concession a little bit. Let's go to something where the president said financial reform, right? How do you reform the financial industry in Liberia or the money that the government is spending if you are your own police? Like, I know I read something somewhere that says most of the corrupt people are the people that are the lawmakers, the decision makers, right? So if the decision makers are the corrupt people, how do they police themselves? If the president is saying there will be financial reform, how does the president implement this financial reform to benefit the Liberian people? Can you chime in on that?
So, first of all, what does financial reform mean? Those are things we need to understand. Because if you want, in order to reform something, it either has a problem that you think you need to resolve, right? In order for me to say, okay, I have to reform this, that means that it's either broken or it has some problem that we want to fix. What are you fixing? What have you identified? Now, let us go back to this government. When they took over, the first thing, the first executive order the president passed and established a group called Asset Recovery. What is the finding? Up to today's date, we have nothing to show for. Besides one person who was running after, which some people felt that it was politically motivated, that was Pinabono. That's the only person we heard a lot about. But she was not the only person working government. She was just an aide to the president.
Yeah.
Right? So you have ministries that were ran. Did you audit the ministry? What was the outcome? You have Ministry of Finance, you have Ministry of Education, you have Ministry of Health, you have all these ministries that were receiving funds. So if you want to reform the finance of Liberia, those are the first thing you need to do to put in place. What guardrail are you putting in place? And two, are you holding yourself accountable? We all remember when the government started right before inauguration, there was some financial malpractice with the government. We did not get any account of that. So before you say something, start doing something that we can see and say, yes, you are serious. But if you cannot account for things financially, you can't tell me you're going to do a financial reform. This is just, in my opinion, just a soundbite that will sound good to the ears of those who support the government and will sound a fun for those who in the opposition, giving ammunition to opposition or leaders to criticize the government. But when it comes to financial reform, I don't see anything happening now. Let us look at the last 20 years, or 23 years since the war was over and we had election. Almost 20 years, because 2026 will be 20 years since we had an election, right? Look at Liberia. The only thing you have seen, that I have seen, and I know most people will agree with me on this, is or are those who have served in government at a higher position are the only one getting wealthy. You cannot show me 10 out of the richest people in Liberia that can tell me the gain that riches outside our government. I can name very few on one finger. And it's not a bad thing, so I can name some of those that I know. Musa Belete, he got his money before he entered government. Today, one of the richest people who can talk about is Ice Coming, he worked outside of Liberia. And I don't know who else I can even name. Kalono, he are not working government yet, and he got his own business, and he's one of the rich guys in Liberia. I think Muda, the guy who was the former commerce minister, he had money before. So very few people, if you count in Liberia, say they are rich, they did not work in government. So in order for financial reform to take place and for government to be a part of it, the government has to be strategic. All right, you have to have strategic goals. You have to have a guardrails. You have to be accountable to yourself before you start holding people accountable. We just had a budget that was passed for 1.2 billion. What changed? I didn't see any improvement. I didn't see any kind of change that was or strategic that was in line with this budget where they say, okay, this money, say we added $200 million. The $200 million will be used to improve healthcare, to improve agriculture. No, that same money again, that $200 million that was added to the new budget is also spread among the same people that are receiving the $800+ million that was there. So what financial reform are you going to do? Just to increase the money and not account for it? Because I think that's all happening. Already the lawmakers are not really doing good job, in my opinion. And then you're trying to add, I think, about 18 more districts. You just adding more burden to the government. So we're not strategic in our goals. That's a positive. So
right, so
we created no place, and you created another loophole for money to go into.
Yeah,
Right?
so I know we discussed that about a year or two ago when I was saying when we look at the Liberian budget, and I said the budget was too small, right? And sadly, somebody listened to me. I said based on the thing that we have to do in Liberia, 500 million was too small when we announced this budget at first. I think then they pushed it to 600 million or something, and I said that budget was too small. And then you guys said the same exact thing, that if the people can manage the small money they have now, they corrupt at that level, and you give them plenty of money, then corruption will be like maximized. So
Exactly.
yes, sadly, my message was heard that the money was too much for Liberia, or the money was too small for Liberia, but we needed to increase it so that we could do more. But again, based on what the president said, I'm just going to go right to what he said. He said right now he can probably say that 17,000 new homes in Liberia got electricity. 125 villages got electricity for the first time ever in Liberia, right? And then he said about 225 million or 275 million or 290 million is going to 15 county development. So Sapolosi, I don't know if you really pause that speech to listen to it, but the president said some big numbers. So where do we go to see how this $290 million is being allocated? That's my question. And then the president said it created 70,000 new jobs, right? I went to the Labor Ministry website. They have statistics, but when you click on the statistic, it brings you a PDF form that have no information. You can't see what is the statistic, you can't see any data in there. It's just a form asking me to fill up something. You understand? And most people will run away from that form because it's not digital. You have to download it, fill it up, and then send it to someone email that the Labor Ministry has. So I don't know how they're collecting that data. Where can Liberians go to find out how many jobs are created, how many people are unemployed, and the money that is being allocated also, what is it being used towards? So 290 million for 15 county development. What is that money for? How is it going to be spread out?
You see, Dr. Parson, and we'll go back to some of our shows that we had before. I remember a while back when Ellen Jones announced that it was a good deal. I think it was a good idea. Now we always have, and that's one fascinating thing about Liberia. We always have good ideas. We put a lot of time into the planning, but we don't put more time into implementation, and we don't enforce it. County Development Fund, it was a brilliant idea, which I thought was going to be good. However, there was no strategy on how it should be implemented or enforced. Now, $290 million, who is it going back to? Is it going back again to the same old people that were receiving it before? Because if that is the case, we have not had account for those since Ellen Jones started establishing. For example, I can tell you my district number 1 in Bon County. The first town, living from Nima County, one of the biggest towns in that area is Baila, my hometown. There is no clinic, right? We have one pitiful high school, junior high school, that was built in the 1960s. Nothing has been done. No renovation. The zinc still ugly. We are the one helping to, in fact.
Not cutting you off, but the president is saying that they have digital technology reaching the villages now, where they are teaching remote. They're using some kind of digital technology to teach remote in villages. So it's not in your village yet. I have to call my Oma to find out whether we are.
And let me tell you this: the plus for my hometown is that it's on the main road. That's the plus. It's on the main road. In fact, the road leading from Monrovia to go all the way to Ganta pass in the middle of the town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it passed in the middle of the town. So we got one side of the new Baila on the left when you go into Nima, and the old Baila on the right. So you can't say, oh, because of the lack of road. No, and the road is paved. In fact, I can travel from Bon County, from Red Light to go to my hometown. Then the time you would take to go from Peaceville to go to Broadville, I will already have reached to my hometown.
Wow. So
that's how when I was there 2024, that's how good the road was, because I would take 3 to 4 hours to leave from Cinco to go to Broadville in Pagacono. Then I would take from Peaceville to go all the way to Baila.
So the road has been fixed. So we should give the government some credit that the roads are being fixed.
That was during Ellen Jones at the time. I'm talking about 2022. That was Ellen Jones at the time, yes. So if you're telling me that you're allocating, if that's what you're going to structure, I want to see it. I want to see that district, since it's the first town living from Nima County to come to Bon County, that school be renovated. We ourselves, we raise money and we finish a clinic that is there, right? The other government could not provide staff for that clinic, and up to today, the building is still sitting there. Who built now? The people stealing all the equipment that we have in there. So put that clinic up, and then that's how we know that your money you're spending in this county development fund is benefiting the people, not just benefiting the lawmakers. and
Suppose
even at the time.
the president said 125 village because a village wasn't included. You can't say the president wasn't not developing. Let me just correct you right there. Yeah.
No. I'm not. No. I'm not saying that. The reason I'm using my town as an example because
Yeah.
there is no excuse to say it's inaccessible. So
Mm.
if the town on the main road are not given the benefit, and you and I know, in order to do a remote education via or virtual education via computer or cell phone or whatever, you need electricity.
So, Sapolosi, I know let's run through this thing quick. I
Yeah.
understand what he's saying. There's somebody, the thing is, I pray someday that we have money as a platform to check and balance some of these things, right? That when the president said 125 village, we say, give us that 125 village list, right? We will go to those villages and check to see whether the things the president said is really happening there. That's how the Liberian people can really know. And then the government itself don't have good publicity to say the thing other than now picking called JMB's son that really going out there doing stuff. Maybe the government not paying him to do that, but the government need to come up with its own advertisement to show the work that it has done so that our skepticism for the work they are doing is not bad, because our hope is that every government that come in place do well so that Liberia can move forward, because that's the only way Liberia will move forward. But if we're not seeing it, if people are not seeing what the government is doing, then it becomes like another soundbite, like you said. But I want to run over this thing quick. The president said some stuff, and I want us to highlight it. Real-time payment in Liberia. For the first time in Liberian history, Liberia will have the ability to pay to do financial transactions across Africa, right? That's something that the president highlighted, and I thought that was beautiful. If that is possible, then you can stay right in Liberia. You can buy how you call it, ogbono in Nigeria, then they can ship it to you, right? And you can sit on Saturday morning and eat that thing real good. So that's a good thing. So another thing they mentioned was what do you call it? He said the Turkish airline is going to be starting operation May 11 in Liberia, which is a great thing. At least we can now go to Turkey. From Turkey, we go to Liberia, which may make flight for us a little cheaper than us going through Europe all the time. And then he said reconstruction of hospital, and then right now, he said land reform. Sapolosi, I didn't want to go do this topic without talking about this today. Land reform. How do you think the president and the government of Liberia will make land reform possible? Right now, as we speak, I have a land that one police officer took from me. He broke my cornerstone. No, seriously, the man broke my cornerstone, and he threatened everybody, say, if anybody show up on that land, he's going to shoot them. So when I heard the president say land reform, I was one of the Liberians that was celebrating, because me, I don't get gun. I don't know how to shoot gun. You're in the army, you know how to shoot gun. Me, I don't know how to shoot gun. I don't even know how the thing looking like. I never hold one before. So when this guy said he had gun, and I paid the land, and I survey it and everything, and the man said, when you count on the land, you put 4. You will not see yourself again. I scared him, man. I didn't want to go back to Liberia again, because I didn't want for the man to find me, because he know my name. My name, my initial on the land. So I didn't even want to go back to Liberia, because the man had threatened me that way. So you tell me, Sapolosi, land reform, would it be a good thing for all Liberians, not just some of us who get money to call our BB brother and to call people that we know in government to say, help me with my land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the government really have a plan to implement land reform for Liberia?
So when it comes to land reform, this is not something new. This is something that started under Ellen James Sirleaf. And when it started under Ellen James Sirleaf, there was an organization I know at the time was sovereign the land that we have in Baila. I think they called it Denell or Denville, some Denell or something like it. It was a private entity that was trying to see how they can do land reform where people are not double selling land and all that stuff. And I think lately, that guy is not trying to use intimidation or tactic on you. But I think so far land reform has become better as compared to the 90s and the early 2000s. I think it has become better. I think right now when you go to buy a land, because I just processed on land issue recently, and you got to go through if you do it the right way, you go through the code, you go through the how do you call this thing, the surveyor and all that process. Once you have all your D's and stuff, I think it's going to be good. I know one of the what I heard, I'm supposed to start this, I think this month or February, right? This year, February or March is it's going to be done. I think where they're going to change the model that we had before, where if I got a land, I got a Model D, I would go and take Steve land and just circle it in the middle of my land to be and say, okay, I got a Model D and this is your land, it's in the middle. What I heard that we're going to start doing with the new policy is if I got a Model D and you got one lot of land, you're going to extract that land from yours. It's not going to be present on the Model D anymore. So if they put that in place, I think that's a good idea where then it can also avoid people from double selling a land, right? Because if I got 50 acres of land and I say you want 1 acre and your acre of land is still, even though my name is on there, but it is still on my deed, there's a high chance of me reselling that land. But if they take it away from my deed, my Model D, and it doesn't appear on there anymore, my children or myself cannot sell it anymore. I think that's a good idea. And I think that is already in the work. So it's not something that is new.
So Sapolosia, the Riverside Pro just posted something. I heard him and Sis Yaseni talking about it earlier today on Facebook. You know, back in the day, during the WIA administration, some communities were demolished. There was this person that said they owned 25 acres. So people that have been living in that area for 25, 30 years, this person that was in government, in WIA government at that time, said they owned 25 acres of land. So they just brought a bulldozer and started bulldozing people's land. And now the same thing is happening in President Boakai's administration, where people's homes are being bulldozed. They won't come and give you guys a notice to say, next month, you got to show up in court. I don't know how the process is done, but according to what I saw online, it said people next morning they woke up, their houses are being bulldozed. You could go to work and you come back home and your house is gone. You understand? So if the same government is saying we are doing land reform, why isn't there a policy that say if people already have structure on the land, you cannot just go and you cannot just bulldoze them until there's a final legal ramification or something that states that these people don't own the land. You understand? Before you kind of kick them off the land. But once somebody is in government or somebody big have a land and that person have a power, they have money, they can pay the boys, they grown up, they can pay the boys, their boys to go on the land and say anybody show up here will be, even the police will be there to protect their property, because that incident that was occurring, there were armed police officers there with the 25 acres of land that somebody said they own. That person was bulldozing people home, and these people been there for 25, 30 years. And they said their father, their mother bought the land for them, and they've been on that land. All of a sudden, they are being kicked out of the land. So what do we really do? How do we really prove that we own property in Liberia? And the sad thing is, Sapolosia, like you were saying, I should go to court, I should talk to my lawyer, I should talk to this person. How many poor Liberians, besides you and I right here, right? I maybe you're a full lawyer, right? If I do overtime and stuff, maybe I can afford a lawyer. But how many regular Liberians who make $75 a month or $150 a month, right? They put in their susu, they're doing everything, and then they go and buy a land. They're happy. You know, like the American dream, you got a land, you're ready to build your house. And then you buy the land, you survey it, you go to the same government entity to survey your land. They do the probate, you pay the government money to do the probate. Then 2 months, 3 months, or 1 year later, because when I buy land as a poor person, I don't have money immediately to build, right? So now I'm going to start putting susu to wait for my money to fill up, then I start my foundation, right? By the time you have the money to start your foundation, the land is no longer yours. So that person now, the money that they were saving to put down on their foundation, they now have to go and pay for a lawyer. Is that something we want to do for our country continuously? When would they stop in the 21st century? Sapolosia.
So yeah, so Sheriff, I mean, Dr.
Sapolosia, let me just say this quick before you continue. Hey, folks, if you want to call in, we have the number here. Let me make it scroll down the screen. The number is 682-503 9906. Again, 682-503-9906. And this is Liberia Shall Rise, folks. We are discussing what can make our country better for all of us. Go ahead, Sapolosia.
Yeah, so there are a few things we have to look at with some of the demolition that go on in Liberia, right? And we have to be objective when we're indicating these things, because the scenario you gave and what River Says Pro is talking about, I don't know the detail. However, I know few circumstances that have happened in the last 2 years where demolition have taken place. One of the ones that I know that the government was involved was about the alley roads, where people were not supposed to build, and they built. That's one. One of the high-profile one was the CDC headquarters. Now, we have to be realistic and be objective. It's not everything becomes political because the justice is implementing its code or is taking its action. The one for the CDC headquarters, if we follow that, I followed it, okay, and I try to look at it from afar, not to be involved, because I'm not involved in CDC, I'm not United Party man. But if you look at that, we all know, if you go back to the CDC headquarters, it started even during George Weah time, when the owner of the land started asking for their property. But because the government in power at the time was CDC, that person could not do anything. The Justice Department could not do anything. So when they left office, the people went back to the Justice Department and said, hey, look, we want our land. We tried to get it during this government time. It did not happen. Now, what police people say, yes, the police are always to places to maintain the peace. That's their job. Okay? Just because the police is present doesn't mean Boakai or Judge Weah send them there. No. If I have a dispute, or if I'm even doing a survey, that's why you get a letter from the court. So they get a sheriff to go to your court if you do a survey, so that they are present to represent the government. Anything that happens is the police job to take record of whatever transpired and report to the Justice Department. Now, whether it was done, I can't say. But the police presence is to maintain the peace. That's their role, right? So I want us to be objective when we say anything not based on political party affiliation. So now, when it comes to private property, yes, what you're seeing have happened. I have experienced it myself. Okay, my father, and I used to tell my father, but he didn't listen to me. I used to tell him, Papa, when you give me somebody land to do some farm work on it, put it in writing, so that when tomorrow comes, if you're not around, or a relationship that is between you and that person, if they're not there, then we know how to address it. And that's what happened. He didn't listen to me. As soon as he died, the person owned the land, and in fact, he started suing me for my own land. Why? He said my father gave him the land. I said, okay, give me a document that states that my father gave you a land. He could not provide a document, right? But then what if he have built on it? Now, that way he and I can negotiate. I can tell you, okay, I can either buy your property or you can buy the land. Those are the negotiation tactics. But if both of us cannot come to one agreement, then the government gets involved, right? The government gets involved. Then the government can say, okay, this is how we can settle it based on the value and whatever it is, you know. But we have to be very objective. What you see is talking about, I don't know the detail. What Riverside Pro is talking about, I don't know the detail. One thing I do know, this government, most of the demolition that I have seen notices, and I heard notices on radio in Liberia telling people to be present, to be removed. So, is it happening everywhere? I don't know. But I know there are instances where I have heard that they gave notice that they're going to be demolishing property along, alleyway or motor roads, or people who illegally build somewhere. Those are things. And let me put this point. Let me make this point before I do. That capacity, sometimes people will complain and say, oh, this infrastructure is good, until you demolish it and you make it beautiful. And then people will say, oh, wow, we didn't know that how beautiful this was. In order for the country to develop, there were things that people are going to get hurt. And when those people get hurt, when we see what's happening, then we say, oh, we appreciate what is being built. And that's what's going to happen. Most people in Liberia during the 90s built at the wrong places and got land that was not bought from the right people. That is happening in Liberia as well.
Yeah. So again, Sapolosi, I get your point, and I'm not against the police being part of all this, but it should be unilateral. It should be for all citizens, right?
Yeah.
Protection should be for all citizens. So if, for example, a land dispute is happening, and I go to court, or I even go to the land, how you call it, the Lands and Mines Ministry, right? I should be able to get a document from the Lands and Mines Ministry saying this person is the rightful owner of this land, and anyone else who is trespassing on this land, they're doing it at their own risk. They will be put in a prison or whatever the statement can be if they touch this property, right? Once I have that, the police should know that that is a valid document, right? Like your car, your car, your vehicle registration or whatever, your title. If you are the owner of your title, nobody can just come and take that vehicle from you.
So, Steve,
right?
Wait, hold on. Yeah, is that number WhatsApp? Because somebody is asking those in Liberia, how can they participate?
Those in Liberia, you can call on WhatsApp too. I have to double check that. Yeah, but you can call on WhatsApp. Let's try that. Those in Liberia.
So Ben, if you want to participate, oh shoot, I'm using my phone today. Yeah, I'm using my phone today, so I can use WhatsApp.
Okay. So
yeah.
I don't have. Let me see if I have Ben directly. Then maybe I can have him call me directly on WhatsApp too. Ben, why don't you try calling the number on WhatsApp? Let's see, because it's supposed to be forwarded to me. So try that and see, and then I will text you my number. Sapolosi, oh, you can't even text Ben.
Why? No, not now. No.
Let's do this. Sapolosi, you can get off screen quick and text him my number so he can call me on WhatsApp. Can you do that?
That means I'm not using my laptop today, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, try that, Sapolosi. You go off screen quick and just send him the number. Send him my number. Let him call on WhatsApp. All right. So, folks, again, the other thing I want to talk about besides land reform, I wanted to show you guys this image. The president stated that, and this actually is a good segue, because when we do land reform, we can design the country to look beautiful. We're talking about building in alleyways. We're talking about all these things. So I was able to talk to my friend, and he designed this for me, and I just want to share with you guys. Look at this. The president said he wants to redesign Liberia in an urban fashion so Liberia can look beautiful. I know you guys will hear echo, but I'm just going to show this quickly and then go back to full screen. But this year is something, there's an idea I just put together and say, hey, I need to see a bunch of Liberians standing over this image, over the future of Liberia. But how can we do the future of Liberia? How can we design a beautiful Liberia if we don't have a plan for the entire country? So that's why I'm saying the government is to have access to all the land deeds, have a kind of like a database that show where lands are sold, who own what land, and then when the government have that, as the government plan something like this, we will know where all our factories will be located. We will know where all our residential areas will be located. We'll know where all our businesses will be located. So if somebody sell me a land in a particular area that's supposed to be a business or an industrial center, I cannot build a house there. You understand? So in this case, we now plan the future of Liberia based on the future plan and the future development plan. You know, that's what I'm hoping that the government is doing. I'm hoping that they are sitting down and actually designing the Liberia we want to see in the future. Because if we don't sit down and do that design, if we don't sit down and kind of analyze the whole structure of the country, the whole map of the country, and say area number 1 is only for infrastructure, area number two is for industrial buildings, area number 3 is for residential, so nobody can sell area number 1 to anybody to build homes. Now if you have a place for businesses, for people to go and buy, like to go and hang out, like to buy stuff at the mall where you have multiple businesses, nobody can build a residential building there. So this is a kind of plan that I'm hoping that the president is bringing all engineers together. They're bringing all experts together to say, hey, let's look at this and come up with an urban design plan. Even if we can do that for Monrovia right now, let's do that for Bone County, let's do that for Nima County, let's do that for other places that have yet to be overpopulated. Then at least we can focus on designing Liberia based on a beautiful idea that will take us to the next century. That when people come and we're talking about tourism, the president is talking about tourism and all those stuff, so that we can have somewhere that will be attractive for people as they come to Liberia. So Sabolosi, I will let you chime in on that, and then we can go to the next thing the president said, which is tourism. Sabolosi, you back? Say something. You may have to change your audio. So, I mean, talking about the design of Liberia, I think it will also segue into tourism, because the president did appoint somebody to be the director of tourism. And this person is now going to be responsible to make sure that people come to Liberia. No, Sabolosi, we can't hear you. You have to check your microphone. All right, let me see something here. Liberia Land Authority. Okay, that's not Lands and Mines, but Liberia Land Authority. Just sorry, I haven't been to Liberia for a long time, so I know all the different things. Sabolosi, I check your audio and I can still hear you. All right, so I think Mariba corrected me to say Liberia Lands Authority has a specific process to follow, and the process works well. Okay, people just ignore. Okay, all right. So, Mr. Weeder, when I go back to Liberia, I'm going to follow that process. And the interesting thing is, Sabolosia, you can say something. Let me see if I hear you. Say hello, Sabolosia. Sabolosia, I'm not hearing you. Not saying anything. Oh man. No, we can't hear you. All right, folks. So again, as we come to the end of the show, I just lost my brother Sapolosia. I cannot hear him again. Sapolosia, your audio is bad, but I'm going to continue. Okay, so folks, what do you think about what I just stated about designing the future of Liberia, coming up, maybe hiring a team that say we have Liberia Future Development Geek Squad. And then this team will be responsible to look into how we can design Liberia to be way, way more beautiful than Miami. Like our president said, Liberia is found by Miami. So how can we design Liberia to look more beautiful than Miami? Where is that discussion happening? If the president said in his State of the Nation, we're going to urbanize Liberia, redesign Liberia, how is this design is going to happen if we already have buildings in the alleyways and things like that? No, they're breaking some of those buildings, but just breaking the buildings is not enough. I think we first have to come up with a plan. Once we come up with a plan with a big design for Liberia future, then we can start breaking things up and then building things the way we want them to be built. But we can't keep doing the same thing over and over. We just make a statement, and then that statement becomes something that everybody talk about one day, then the next day we go back to normal. And people start selling land the way they want to sell land. People start selling land in the alleyway and yeah, so again, Marina, that's so true, because right now, when normal time when I was living on the airfield, we could drive car right in front of my house. One of our neighbors decided that since they knew people in the government, they decided to build houses in the middle of the alley. So right now we cannot even drive a car to our house anymore. But normal time we could drive car. My uncle used to drive and come down, and he'll park the car right in front of the house. And we always will enjoy, will then drive from there and go back wherever he wanted to go. But after the war, basically, everybody got their own win, because if you know somebody in government, you have any power to do anything you want to do. So people just did what they wanted to do, and today we don't have any way to even pass wheelbarrow to come to the house. So that's kind of where we are now. And the thing is, what people don't notice is, or what people don't understand is, when you do these things, we now put ourselves at the rate of flood, because those alleyways were also designed to serve as a pathway for water to flow, right? And because we built in those alleyways, now the water have nowhere to flow. So if your room door is there and the water coming, it's going to enter your room door. And that's how we have so much flood going on now in Liberia, because of this old system we developed. Everybody got their own engineering skill. They just decide, all right, this land for me, I'm not going to worry about the road anymore. I'm just going to build something here, you know. And then the last thing, as we come to our close, what I wanted to talk about was the tourism. The president appointed somebody as the tourism director, and I think this is a great idea that the president decided to do that. And in doing that, we all these things have to be tied in together, where we develop the country, we invite people, we come up with plan to show people around Liberia when they come, all the nice things that are in Liberia, they come. And somebody posted on Facebook also that Providence Island, we can just start with Providence Island, since it's a historical place. We redesign Providence Island, make it beautiful. Then as tourists come, those are some of the places we can take them to see Liberia, and then take them to all the other beautiful places that we have around Liberia. So folks, again, we want to thank you guys for joining us. I know I just lost my colleague Sapolosia, but again, go and watch the president's speech and take your own thing from there, because this is our overview. This is our analysis of it. We review it, and some of the things the president said, I think they make sense. And if the president really implement those, if the president really come up with plans to implement those, I think like we will be on a great trajectory to the future. For example, the president said fairness in concession agreement. Like if we have concession agreement, there's no reason why Liberians should not benefit from a concession agreement, right? We need to set a stronger foundation where corruption is eradicated, where our leaders are trusted, our people have benefit from the natural resources they have. And I was saying something, imagine every year, all the gold, all the diamond, all the rubber that we sell, every year the Liberian family gets something in their bank account to say, thank you for being a Liberian. This is from from your country resources, and you get part of that check because we got $1 billion in profit, and every Liberian get some percentage of that money. Or even if that's not possible, let's build the roads that need to be built. Let's build the schools that need to be built. Let's build the hospitals that need to be built. In that way, then Liberians indirectly benefit. And the president mentioned one thing else. He said universal health insurance. Universal health insurance, I think that's a beautiful thing if they figure out a way to do it right in Liberia. And I will give my hats off to Liberian doctors. When I was younger, I don't know about now, when you walk to the hospital, people really care for you. They took time to treat you. And that was a beautiful thing. And sadly, in the West, we don't see that a lot. So I hope we can make healthcare interesting enough that people will now become more caring for their patients and care for their patients. So I think universal health care will be a great thing that will help the country, that will make the doctors so focus on service because they will be paid. They will have money to take care of their families, so they will not be rushing people out of their offices. They'll really take time to care for people. So on that note, folks, I want to say thank you for watching us. Again, this is Liberia Shall Rise. If this is your first time watching us, please follow us. We are here every Sunday at 2 p.m. Central, which I believe is about 8 o'clock in Liberia. And then we are also here on Saturdays, but we're trying to rearrange the Saturday schedule so we can do other days during the week. Again, thank you guys. Have a great week. And the year is still new, so I want to say I wish you all the best this year, and may all your positive dreams and wishes come true. Thank you, and have a great week.